We are live, Chloe.
This is always very exciting. The most exciting part is always when we go live,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a bit of an adrenaline. You
But
look messy. You
yeah,
look like a hot mess. Let's
yeah.
put it
I'm
that
my
way.
authentic self.
Yeah,
We are renovating the home,
yeah,
so it was a busy day for me today, and I
yeah,
couldn't make it to the shower. So
yeah. It's
good for the viewers that they
they
don't.
can't smell
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I always say authenticity is more important than perfection.
Voila.
Voila. Well, I as my name is Chloe Willaerts, and
My name is Verheyen, and this is Chaos and Amazement, where we explore the impact of digital technology on our daily lives.
together we've built socialrunners.com, which is a platform, a marketplace where marketing professionals like me can book creatives like Phil.
Messy, like I am.
Messy create, but creativity is always a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah,
being
yeah,
messy,
yeah,
because otherwise you're just a machine.
yeah. The
And
process is always messy. I also my layers in Photoshop.
yeah,
I can't recommend my clients to view it because
it's a big mess,
it's a
right?
big
Behind
mess.
the
Yeah, yeah,
scenes.
yeah.
But the end result will be great as usual. If you're listening, let us know if the audio is fine. I have a feeling it is. So let's have a look at my bag full of chaos and amazement. I'd like to start with a little bit of internet history. So 30 years ago, in a magazine called The New Yorker, a cartoonist called Peter Steiner created a cartoon that is that's I think one of the most famous cartoons in the world. It's a black and white cartoon, very simple style of two dogs. It shows two dogs, and then one of the dogs is sitting behind the computer. Remember, this is in 1993.
Wow.
I'm gonna ask. I keep forgetting what year you were born.
1991.
91. So you were like a toddler.
Yeah.
19. So one of the dogs is sitting on a chair behind a computer, and there's a second dog sitting on the ground next to the desk, looking up to the dog who is sitting behind the computer. And the dog behind the computer says to the one that is sitting down, "On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog." And looking back, it's amazing, because I remember in 1993 I was a student at the University of Antwerp, and they had in the library, in a university library, they had would later turn out to be like the prototype of what would become the internet. It was a connection that you could look up in the computer in the library whether a book that you were looking for was available in the library, right?
Yeah.
So that was already, it used to be like these index cards. Back then in 1993, the revelation was that you could, in real time, using a telephone line, look up in a similar computer that was at the university in Louvain, whether a book that wasn't available in Antwerp was maybe still available there.
Yeah.
And that was, looking back, the first instance of something internet-like.
Yeah.
This is the literal network that would later become in Belgium called BNix, BNIX. And it was actually the academic world that at first administered connected computers, and that would later on become. It was. I know I sound really old, but it was. I forgot his name, but there was this one person that you had to fax with your company info, and he worked for this academic network. If you wanted to register a .be domain.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
So that was 1993, just to give you an idea of the world we were living in. And there was this cartoonist. I love cartoonists because they are allowed to say a lot more, and they see things that regular people don't see. They're like the court jester of our popular culture. Now, why am I talking about this cartoon? So it's available online. You can. I also wrote a blog post about it, and it's only available in low resolution. So we're looking at like low resolution. This is on purpose, of course, because if this would have been high resolution than other people. So in the course of 30 years, because it is so famous, it has become a meme. There are variations on it. There's a documentary made about it. And why am I talking about it today? It is now for sale. The original cartoon, as it was handed in to the magazine by Peter Steiner,
Wow.
is for sale. And it's a shame that I'm not rich, yeah, maybe I could have made some different decisions in
You
life.
should have bought all the
Yeah,
domains
like
back
a
then.
Bitcoin at the right time. But just make an educated guess. So the original artwork from 1993 of this cartoon, in dollars,
We are
and it's
living
an
in
auction. It's an auction, right? So it
okay,
could go up.
2.4 million.
No, no, the original price is set at $50,000 to $60,000.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, in the time that we
I could
pay
sell a
NFT.
kidney and then easily buy this cartoon.
But then in the time where NFTs are bought for millions.
Millions,
Yeah.
yes. And then this because why am I still fascinated by this cartoon? Because it put a finger on something that was someone in 1993 saw what would become the biggest problem of the internet, and that is identity. On the one hand, with he's still surprised by the success, and then by it. By the way, he's still alive, Peter Steiner. But the internet is fantastic. You can look up in data. Computers are connected so that they can look up in each other's databases. That's how it started. But then people went online and they started publishing things and started to interact. Still fantastic. I mean, you could have like the weirdest interest in the world, like fly fishing, and feel very lonely back in your neck of the woods. But thanks to the internet, there was always someone who was just as passionate about this super specific interest as you
Yeah.
are. Moreover, in real time, you could actually exchange information and chat with this person because the internet is global, right? It's a world wide web. So there was always someone awake
Yeah.
to talk to you, and that's how I remember the early internet. And what amazed me, of course, right now it's become a lot more. There's e-commerce, there's AI, there's streaming media. It's amazing. You
Yeah.
have all these connected devices like your Apple Watch and your smartphone. The way we can create media now, how easy it is. But back then, from day one, Peter Steiner saw that the biggest issue that is still not solved is identity online.
Mm.
And that is a topic that has fascinated me ever since I went online. And identity has always been, it's a recent problem, because if you look at like the dark ages, um, yeah, there was child mortality was a lot higher, but basically you would have been like, Phil, what does your father do?
Uh, Sales guy.
Yeah, you would be Phil from the sales guy.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So your identity would be linked to your closest network, like your family, and
Yeah.
that's who you were. It was as simple as that, and it worked because people would live in villages or small towns, and would actually interact with like 100, 200 people max. So you could still remember who was, the butcher's son, and what he had done to, the bakery's the baker's daughter, and they were still manageable. But now with this global network, you came into contact with literal millions, billions of people,
Mm.
which we can handle. And so the way we identify online, it should have been networked from the start.
Yeah.
How you log in, how you identify on an it was a bulletin board at first, and then online forums, for example, then comment sections for blogs. So that's when identity became important. Well, that should have been networked from the start, so that you would identify in relation to other people
Mhm.
who were already known. I'll give an example. I still remember who gave me my first Gmail account.
Really?
Yes, because if you wanted a Gmail account, someone had to invite you.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, that's how
I
it
didn't
worked.
know.
It was an early example of growth hacking or
Yeah.
viral marketing. And Hotmail also worked like this. So you had to be invited to it by someone. So in my head, this was one of the persons who was like my godfather to the whole Google environment, right? So
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
when I first had to create a Google account to get Gmail. So just imagine that 30 years ago, internet would have worked like that. That people who brought you onto the Google ecosystem, who brought you onto the Facebook ecosystem, that they would somehow vouch for you.
Mm.
And your identity would reflect that. Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think we would have like a lot less issues today with identity. If you have like minors, that is only like, oh, there are thousands of issues with online minors, then your parents would, help you create your account, and your account would reflect that.
Yeah, but there is something difficult about this
Mhm.
because older people are not. How do you say it? They don't work with computers that much as
But
the
they
younger
also they
generation.
create their own Google and
Yeah, but some people don't want a Google account. For example, my
it's
mother.
very hard. It's very
my
hard
mother.
on the regular internet. It's very hard to use the services that you want to
Yeah.
use, like a search engine, social media, email, without creating an account with one of the giants, Google, Facebook, or the local telco, like here, Proximus, for example. It's very hard to use the internet as a whole without
But even
creating an
even a
identity.
phone, a smartphone, you need to have a
You
Google.
need to have an identity, and it's messy and not perfect, because you have to remember. We try to look into Google BARD, and we'll talk about Google BARD later today. But I still think there's this password manager. You have to create these unique passwords. There's logging in with your face. It's still one big mess. It's one big mess. And I'm like, I'm trying to be a good person online, and I try to behave. I haven't even talked about how people abuse the online identity system and pretend to be someone else, to like catfishing or phishing as a whole, creating false accounts, spam. And we haven't even mentioned the dark web, where people deliberately order stuff that they don't want to be linked to their real world identity, because it's literally illegal, for example.
Yeah.
So all this started with this internet connectivity in the early 90s, and how people behave when they think that nobody knows who they really are. It's just, it's it's like with a lot of people, their dark side emerges. If they know that they can be anonymous, they behave completely different than when they know that someone's watching and that someone knows that they're like, the sales guy's son. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of the problems, fraud, of people misbehaving online, that this wouldn't happen if from the start you could only go online if you were identified by who you were in relationship with other users online, who brought you to the system.
Yeah.
But it's too late now. We're 30 years ahead, and in spite of blockchain technology, which in theory could have been a solution to this. It's completely different philosophy, not working for online identity at all.
Yeah.
Ironically speaking, cryptocurrency, which is linked to blockchain technology, is being used on the dark web to buy illegal stuff. So it's now the Fediverse. We talked about the Fediverse later on, where you have like a federated internet, which is distributed, related to blockchain technology, I think. And the Twitter alternative called Mastodon. I wrote a column about this and an opinion piece in Dutch for a local media publication about the Fediverse. So I'm talking to an audience of marketing professionals and media professionals there. So I thought I should know that the Fediverse exists, because it could solve a lot of marketing issues as well, because advertisers are super frustrated that they don't know who they're talking to, and they want to. And then every year with like cookie laws and GDPR, it becomes harder for advertisers to know who they're talking to. So they're being forced. And then again, that's another irony. They're being forced to like mass communication and then talking to 1 million people and then hoping that 100 of them actually get the message and are converted. So that's why I wrote a piece about the Fediverse for this magazine. And
The internet is like a kip zonder kop, a chicken without a head.
yeah, it's
Like
just running around. There's blood all over the place. Yeah, I grew up in the country, so I'm very, very familiar with literal headless chickens. And what you can do with the claws, you can play. Yeah, well, okay. So it's country girl, and animal cruelty. Anyway, Fediverse. So if you look at the most well-known example right now, by name at least, is Mastodon. So Mastodon is a Twitter alternative for a lot of people. I've had it on since 2017, I think. And then once in a while, I get even more frustrated with the Twitter features than usual, and it happens like 2 or 3 times a week. But sometimes I get so frustrated, I think, you know what, let's have a look at Mastodon. And I know that a lot of people that I know in real life, and people I've been known only online, but for 10 or 20 years now, are present on Mastodon. But they have this networking, it only works if enough people are active, and it doesn't get over this bump where you have enough people to make it interesting. And Twitter is still there.
Yeah.
There's still enough people for me, still enough people to make it interesting. On Mastodon, this is just not happening. So I logged in to write my piece, and I could see my contacts were there, but there was just a few exceptions. Like there were a few voices that were interesting. It's super interesting to see the comments on the Apple keynote on Mastodon because they are super. They see things that the regular Apple fanboy won't see.
Okay.
But still, it just was not attractive for me to start thinking, you know what, I'm going to share my updates on Mastodon right now. Still not enough. Although in theory, Mastodon, since it is built on Fediverse technology, a way of online identity, in theory, this would solve a lot of online identity.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to be more patient. WordPress, for example, this week announced that if you want to identify yourself on WordPress, for example, because you're blogging, probably also because you want to leave a comment, that you could use Fediverse based online identity system like Mastodon. Because I've been blogging since 2004, right? And my blog is like attracts spam comments. I mean, it's just sometimes I just try to avoid it, and then there's a good spam. You have to mark the spam and disappears, and of course it's never published. I still have hope. To anonymize after 30 years. They were clear to cartoonist in 1993. After 30 years now, maybe it'll know itself. Has this side to it, ask and misbehave.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
I
how
think
we
so.
are.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's aggressive. Only what we're I'm fully this of clicks, but this economic forum is a situation, and that updates I will official intelligence yeah, we're a new type of it's a new type of
Yeah.
job basically.
Yeah.
Because you use a lot of AI in your work. I'll use AI,
Every day.
and it's different
Yeah,
from
it's
when I
this.
started
Yeah.
writing, and it's different from you start. Data curator. That's because AI of crunching large amounts of data, it has to be clean data, and a lot of startups who are offering AI as a service, that's where the issue is. They deliver to the customer, it's messy, and then it has to be cleaned up. And every delivery of it is not automated yet. So I know that will be another, trying to create an opportunity for new types of services like cleaning up medical data, for example, or generated by humans, by machines, by everything. And they're looking for trying to solve issues or automate stuff for their local customers, and then local customers had to, dump their data to them. And then most of them have the same issues. The data is too messy, even for big players like Google and Microsoft. Still, like for example, the data can be trusted.
Mhm.
It's false information. It was copyrighted data. So that's why WEF says that not only AI-driven content creators is a new type of job opportunity, data curators. So what data curators do, so curator is someone, if you compare it with a museum. So a museum's collection, 90% of it is in boxes, is in the basement or somewhere else. And the curator's job is to, from time to time, create an exhibition based on his or her selection of data.
Yeah.
And that is what a data curator also has to do. So they have to be very good at selecting the exact type of data that is needed for the AI to do its job. So that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that one.
No.
And then, of course, the obvious one, ethics and governance specialists. I still don't know what people mean when I say ethical. I see what they're trying to mean.
Yeah.
So they want, now that we know that human nature is that, sometimes we want to misbehave, and then AI could be easily weaponized, for example, and then there should be like ethics, and then everyone goes, yeah, but what exactly do you mean? What are you going to do? You go law. Laws are national or local. They're not global. There are no global laws. There are some guidelines, but they're very specific, like guidelines for Christians, for Muslims,
Yeah.
for Buddhists. And there's no global guideline. There's no law. There's no ethics police who come and arrest you when you break the law. So what do you mean by ethics? Usually, if you keep asking questions about it, it ends up with a committee of old white men, and they should approve of things before they can happen. That's not what ethics is about.
No.
It's not representation. So it's that's the one that I'm still in the dark about. What is an ethics specialist? What who would this be?
I
That
don't
will
know.
be an interesting case
A
for.
teacher.
No, why would it be one person?
Yeah.
Why would this committee or this person would be consulted every time someone wants to do something with AI? That's not practical.
No.
What are you going to do? Are you going to put like a lock on AI whenever it crosses a border? What border? Who decides what that border is? So I understand the idea of ethics. It's just that it's like a conversation stopper, really. It's like a mind exercise that just runs into a wall very quickly. I hope that anyone here has a solution for it, because the closest thing we got to having like a global law and the world just after World War II decided, the military world decided never to use nuclear arms again. And those were like literal arms.
Did you already watch the movie Oppenheimer?
No, is
No.
it good?
I don't know. See it.
Oh, you do?
I don't have the time.
We should organize a watch party.
Yeah.
I was planning on doing like Barbenheimer. To be honest, my head just yeah, after watching Barbie,
Ah,
I
you
just,
watched Barbie?
yeah,
Okay.
with my girl, with my daughter, and I absolutely loved it. It's if you watch it as if it's ironic, it's even funnier.
Yeah.
But the intention was there to do a Barbenheimer, but I think that I would just, also just want to lay down and just, do nothing after it. It's a bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
But if you have to look at AI the way you look at nuclear arms, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
There's a lot more you can do with that. Anyway, AI and jobs. So World Economic Forum came up with these three new jobs: AI content creators, data curators, super interesting, and then the thing that confused me, ethics governance specialists. But a UK research in the same week came out with a report investigating the following question: is using AI making us lazy?
Yeah.
It's a good question, to be honest.
Yes. For me, it's yes.
It does make you lazy.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I don't go to iStock or
Oh,
Shutterstock
that.
anymore. Because it's like next page, next page, next page, next
Yeah.
page. And I was just going to Discord and making prompts for Midjourney
Yeah.
and tweaking that.
But you call it lazy. I
Yeah.
call it more productive and more efficient.
Why I call it lazy is because the images that I found on iStock is a lot more work
For you?
for me to
Mm.
edit it into one art piece or something like that
Yeah.
than the journey is that I
But
get.
what counts is the result, right?
Yeah.
If the customer is happy with the result and you get paid for it, because that's something that annoys me about art, how people think about art, as if, not everyone, of course, but personally, I don't care whether the artist had to starve himself for 3 months and in order to make the artwork, and there's some literal sweat and blood in it, or whether they just created it in my journey. What counts is when I'm in front of the artwork, does it actually change me or not? That's my criterion.
Indeed. But for
So an
example,
artist isn't lazy because it only took them five. For example, if you look at Andy Warhol, was he lazy because he had his studio do most of the work, and Rubens did the same thing. He just put his signature on it.
but
So was Rubens lazy?
for example, I'm living at my parents' place back again, and
Yeah.
I'm showing off to my dad. Look, what AI made. Don't tell it to your customers. They can do it by themselves.
Then you can say,
What? No, man, they can't do it. You need some professional view on some
yeah, it's like
things, and
you wrap it a little bit in the mist,
yeah,
hide the process.
yeah.
That's interesting.
But so say it, the slogans, the payoffs that you put under a logo or something like that,
Yeah, like a headline
a
or
headliner.
slogan. Yeah.
That's also one thing that you can do with ChatGPT, and
Yes,
I
exactly.
got 10 examples to give to my client. And before ChatGPT was tree and hard work to what you can combine with words.
But
And
again, I don't call that lazy. I think lazy is an opinion. That so calling someone lazy is an opinion. I think it's just an opinion. It's to me it's a power game. You want people to sweat and to cry over their work and to spend 8 hours and be very tired, because then they show the result to you. You feel better and you made them suffer. That's cruel.
yeah,
That's just cruel.
worse.
The UK, so UK market AI making us lazy. So workplace surveillance and layoffs on the rise. Also, that companies will say we need this workforce, can reduce the workforce. So the AI dilemma is there. So the question is, are we shortcutting creativity, or are we
Yes.
boosting productivity?
Oh, yeah. I'm a guy like the glass is half full, so boosting productivity.
That's my opinion too. I think so. Yeah. So it's an interesting question. Are we shortcutting creativity, or are we boosting productivity? And this UK research, they asked a number of workers who requested to remain anonymous because they were embarrassed to admit they are using generative AI tools in the office.
Why?
because you can get more work done. And
Yeah.
you can see what's going on here. And we have to be honest. You're working from home, and you have a certain, list of tasks that you need to perform in the course of the day. Thanks to AI, it now takes you 1 hour instead of 8. So you can do a lot of things in seven
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
You can do some construction work in the home. You can do the laundry. You can go golfing.
But this
You
is
can play
good. This is
games.
good for humanity. We need some more
Yes, of
free
course.
time.
That's another idea that I think is just too tired. It has to retire this idea is that you have to work 5 days a week,
Yeah.
8 hours a day. Why? If you can do your tasks in 1 hour, why should it be 8 hours? Or of course, you can say, oh yeah, but you could increase your productivity times 8. So still work 8 hours, but do 8 more. Yeah. So that's interesting, I think. I think that's very interesting. An interesting question.
But then it's going quickly to something else, and it's also not good for our mind. I think
Mm,
for an entrepreneur,
yeah.
it's good,
Hmm.
but for an employee,
Yeah. It depends, of course, if you're a knowledge worker.
yeah,
Um, I think the productivity goes up uh, with thanks to AI tools. For creative people, thanks to AI tools, generative AI tools, productivity goes up. And then to me, it's just interesting. What do you do with the rest of the day? Cook a meal
yeah,
instead of takeout,
be there for your
fast food.
family,
Be there for your family.
yeah,
Play with your dog.
yeah.
So I'm actually enjoying this. Um, I would never want to go back to a job where I had to work 9 to 5,
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, and then
Honest.
be in a traffic jam every morning and
Yeah.
every evening too. So I was actually dedicating. I left the house. So the last time I had a full time job, I worked for that advertising agency network, and on the wrong side of Brussels. And with the wrong side, I mean it's not the wrong side of town. It's like coming from
Yeah.
where I live, I have to drive all around the whole Brussels
Yeah.
thing, which means traffic jams,
Yeah.
guaranteed. And so there's like this ring road around Brussels, and then so I would enter from this side, and then I had to do like literally half of that ring. So I was always in a traffic jam for an hour, and then another hour in the traffic jam in the morning. So I left house at like 7:30, and I came home at 7:30 in the evening. That's 12 hours of my day times 5
Yeah.
that I would have to spend to working over there. I would never do that again.
No.
No, never. I'm getting older too. I just physically, mentally, I can't.
Yeah, but even for the younger people, why they
And
don't?
looking back at my job, then it's about 5 years ago, not that
Yeah.
long ago. What I was doing there, like creating campaigns, working together with other people, customers, creating a new business model for the. I could do that from home now, and it would take me 2 or 3 hours every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still very positive about it, but still very good question. Are we shortcutting creativity or boosting productivity?
Boosting
I think
productivity.
so, yeah. So what time is it? Oh yeah, we're already halfway.
Wow.
um
Oh yeah.
you haven't asked about my boyfriend yet.
Ah yeah.
Aren't you wondering
Yeah.
how we're
Is it
doing?
now Bart because you started with Google
Mm,
Bart?
am I cheating on Bing with Bart? That's
Yeah.
that's what you really want
Yeah.
to ask. um well, Bing, he's changed.
Oh.
I know. It's like the first 3 months, it's the honeymoon phase, and you're having sex 3 times a day. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that what it was like with Bing, but he's changed. So to begin with, my favorite feature, which was the fact that when you open up Bing, the app, you have three choices to make, three decisions. Where do you want Bing to be? Creative mode, balanced mode, or I'm not sure what is the precise mode or something, the academic mode. And then obviously I went straight for creative mode, which is good, leading system for hallucinations. So and this is first my go-to tool when I'm looking for like writing an opinion piece or blog post or something. in one of my books or whatever lesson plan. But it's not Bing because the sources and background tools, grammar feature, ChatGPT, of course, DeepL for translation. So it bounces around 4 or 5 other stacks for titles, and not go back to Bing anymore. But things change. I mean, you don't have these three voices anymore.
Well, why did
No,
they
it's just
remove it?
Bing now. You use Home and Bing by clicking on a Bing.
Okay.
And the only thing you can do now is there's a toggle that says GPT-4 or not, and it will take time. So this smells like there's one of the departments of no at Microsoft, probably legal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
told them that it's like the three choices were like when you're trying to visit an alcohol related or porn related website, you have to see that you're 18 and you have to fill out a Roman 16 and use you can't sue them because you vouch. A little shaky, legally speaking, but for alcohol websites and porn websites, usually that's enough. So I imagined that something similar was going on with Bing. So I wanted them to be creative. So I should have known that sometimes they hallucinate. But now it's more specific. So now it says you can use Bing. There's no choices anymore. So for me, the magic is a little
Mm.
gone. So it's gone back to being a black box. It's
Yeah.
like a search engine. It will come up with a result and then cite the sources. Still very good.
Yeah.
The magic is gone. And if you insist on using GPT-4, you have to toggle the thing on.
Mm.
So it actually it's as if that are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And it's also very specific that if I really want it literally says GPT-4. And I'm pretty sure that most people who use Bing don't really know what GPT-4 is. It might ring a bell somewhere, but I think the word ChatGPT is more well known than GPT-4, the
Yeah.
underlying
Yeah.
algorithm. So I was not happy with that. So I started, I'm back on Tinder, man. And
And Bart.
yeah, well, Bard came out. So as you know, Bard was not really didn't really impress me, but that's of course easy. We were all spoiled, we were all mesmerized by ChatGPT in November. Remember that was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's one of those moments you never forget when you
Yeah.
start messing around with it. And as they say, you don't win silver, you lose gold. Although economically speaking, it's always better to be like number two on the market and not number one, because number one has to make all the mistakes.
Yeah.
And being number two, you know what these mistakes are. They're not made by you, and you can, have more time to prepare. So Bard is like number two, one of the numbers two. Bing is also number two. So this week, Google came out with their new and improved Bard. So if you want to mess around with it, it's bard.google.com. And just like Bing combined ChatGPT with their own services and also combine it with Dolly to a lesser extent, obviously Bard, being part of Google, is now able to include what Google knows about
Mm.
you and also to include other popular Google services. I mean, the intention is good. You have to be logged into Google, of course, and at some point, and I was pretty quick asking access to the beta, because Bird is still, and that's also because of the legal department. It says so in the top left corner. It says Bard, and then next to it are the words experiment. So it's like, remember when everything was in beta in it's like this. So it's not gold. So you can have text as an output, and it can take text as an input, but it can also take images as an input. It can also
Oh.
create images as an output. So um, It was worse when he came in. And to Bard, the prompt that I made is make me blonde. So let's just see how much time it takes. No. Oh, am I not even? Um, yeah, it sorry. Oh my God, too ugly. I can help immediately yet. So disappoint. Okay, then don't offer. This is where you type in the prompt, the text prompt, and then I just noticed that you can upload a picture, which is of course what I did, and I uploaded a picture of my face, and then it just says, "Sorry, I can't help with images of people yet." Is that Bard's way of saying that I'm not pretty enough?
Oh my god.
So I think I'm gonna get back to Bing. Let me just enter another prompt just to see. It might be a glitch.
Swipe left. Come on.
Some of the there are some users on Twitter, and I've retweeted some of them to have like to offer like a balanced view, because I was tweeting about what Google was saying about Bard, and then I thought, wow, this is like magic, and then I noticed in my feed that some people say, no, it sucks, it sucks. Let's just say a prompt. What are the main differences between cow's eggs and chicken eggs? Yeah, well, welcome to my brain, people. It's a little slower because I'm connected to my iPhone for the internet. Oh, cow's eggs do not exist. Only birds. So it's mansplaining now. I don't like that. Part is mansplaining. Only birds lay eggs, and cows are mammals. Chicken eggs are typically oval shaped with a smooth, hard shell that is white or brown in color. The inside of the egg is made up of two main parts, the egg white and the egg yolk. The tone and voice is very important and very hard to do. I remember why I fell in love with Bing. Never forget why and when you fell in love. I remember when I fell in love with Bing was the tone.
It was playful.
It was playful, and it would always end with like a little cute sentence and some smileys. And I know it sounds silly, and then some people will think, "Is that all it takes to woo a woman?" Well, yeah, maybe. So it would always end with a variation on the theme of, "I hope you like my answer, and let me just know if I can help." Smiley face, and I thought, "Yeah, thank you, Bing." And then if I compare this with Bart's answer, so first of all, the first sentence, cow's eggs do not exist, and it puts it in bold.
Oh wow!
As if it for me, it's like if it's mansplaining, It's like it's like
You're
looking.
stupid.
Yeah, cow's eggs
Can you
do not exist.
Can you
Chloe.
now ask a picture example of a chicken egg for?
Create a cow's egg. Create an image of a cow's egg. Yeah, we just agreed that most people have like a dark side, and when they have the chance, create an image of a cow's egg. Now, for me, that would have been a problem. It just go with you. Oh, it's disappointing again. So we did three things, and it disappointed us three times. I'm still learning to create images, so I can't help you with that yet. That's not very good, is it? Now, another thing that I'm not going to try out because it creeps me out is, of course, that Bard being part of Google, it can base its output on your input, being your Gmail messages and everything you ever did on the Google platform. I'm not sure if I want to do that. First of all, the search function of Gmail is already good. So if I really want to know if when was the first time that we emailed, for example, just use the search function of Gmail. A lot of people use Gmail for that, actually, to archive things. And they will email it to their Gmail address because they know it's infinite. And then, so that's not amazing. It's just that you now know that Bard will crunch data that you emailed or got emailed to you at a time where you can when you were not aware that what you were typing or what someone was emailing to you would feed an AI that you would then work with. No.
And do you think that Apple will come up with
Oh yeah, they're
Siri
throwing.
AI?
As you know, Apple is literally one of the richest corporations in the world. So they have
90
they
billion.
have like a mountain of cash, literal cash in their bank, not like what they're worth, or the value of the brand, or no, literally in their bank accounts, they have so much money they could. And I wish it were a joke, but they could literally buy a whole country if they wanted to. So they're throwing all of this money now at AI.
Okay.
And during the Apple keynote, so they noticed that the Google keynote before the summer, so Sundar Pichai, they were making fun of him because he said AI, 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 AI. We actually mentioned it in the show. So they deliberately avoided the word AI, but they kind of subliminal, they called it
Machine
machine learning.
learning. Yeah.
Machine learning is a very specific subset of artificial intelligence. Very specific. Yeah. And they use that, they pick that. So I'm pretty sure that they're always very secretive
Yeah.
about what they are developing, and I think also they will have teams of engineers, for example, coming up with things that are isolated from the rest of the company, literally isolated. So they don't meet at something like that in the infinite. What is it called? The circular.
Cupertino circle. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
UFO
UFO
disk.
shaped
Yeah.
UFO shaped building. So you don't accidentally share like a lunch table with someone who's working on whatever Apple wants to do with AI. But obviously, some of the things that are obvious is that Siri is still incredibly stupid, and this for me, that would be like the first thing they should be working on, and they hinted at it. So they hinted Siri is part of Siri culture. They were that's how they intended, and then so that the part of how Siri interacts with you on your on AI. And for me, if I had to choose between a Siri AI with an interface being my watch, that. But if you compare this to Bard, who is feeding on old gym males, it makes sense, that they, but I don't feel comfortable with it.
But Apple will always be the last ones for
Yes, of
this.
course, and
And
that's the brilliance of the
yeah,
type of innovation. The iPhone was the first smartphone. They introduced the computer that used icons on your desktop to represent software sitting on your computer. So that's my point. It costs a lot of energy and a lot of money to be the first because you are the one who has to make the mistakes, and that costs a lot of money and a lot of time involved in that. And Apple is just waiting. Google, Microsoft, and all the other ones were more wait surprised, which is kind of I don't think Microsoft will stay for the spot. Now Bard, Bard.com, you can just ask
toggle something in your
to give it
assets.
permission.
That's the reason why I can't show it to you guys now. The app is beta, I think.
Yes, of course, it's transparent. And I know that I just tried three random things that just all they were all failures. That could have been a coincidence. But for me, I think I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna ask Bing to take me back.
Oh, you need to take him back, not the other way around.
OpenAI, by the way, hasn't. They've been busy too. And so we always talk about ChatGPT, but actually, it all started with Dolly. For OpenAI, it started with Dolly. Dolly was there in June last year. ChatGPT was there in November. So Dolly is now. They announced Dolly 3, so we're now at Dolly 2,
Hmm.
and Dolly 3 will be there in October, which is next month. And so I haven't. You're not able to play with it yet, and all have images, but I do think they're giving Midjourney a run for their money. I just looking at the images that are being generated, and the thing is, of course, that it generates via via multi-thing that or Dolly 3, I suppose, is that you can upload a picture, use that and or you can chat with it in conversation mode. The other one said, my 5-year-old son, she's talking, that's what it typed in. It's like the typical type of prompt language that you need for Midjourney and that you now speak very well.
Yeah.
The conversational language that you use, my 5-year-old was talking about an awesome, I think he said hedgehog, sunflower hedgehog, the typical thing that a 5-year-old child would talk about. And then the images that came out of it actually reflected the joy of a 5-year-old boy's fantasy very well, without it being prompted that it had to be sunny, optimistic. The images were very much what a 5-year-old boy would like, with bright colors and then the whole style. And so the point is that Dali, for Midjourney, you have to learn how to speak Midjourney. The artists that are good, like you, that are good at using Midjourney are actually very good at the prompts, and they're like a programming language that you have to learn. You have to exclude things. You have to use particular. Can you give some examples?
You need to understand photography as well, and
Yeah.
like volumetric lighting, portrait style,
Yeah.
all those 24 millimeters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you include this, then you will get
Yeah.
depth of your face and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
really, you need to know all the words.
So that's what DALL-E 3 doesn't need, because
Okay.
it's joined at the hip with ChatGPT, which is conversational.
Wow.
So it's not just about text and images to text. It's about being able to hold a conversation and use like regular language, and then it becomes interesting because conversational is basically spoken word. Bard also, but I'm not even going to try. Bard had a chance. It can also, you can Google by voice as well, and then Bard can also take commands by voice. But then obviously it's very easy to just talk to ChatGPT/DALL-E 3 and just have a conversation with it, and then the result, and very fast now. ChatGPT has become very fast. I actually use the app ChatGPT now more often because it's a lot faster than the other ones. The app is really fast, and it has this haptic feedback, which makes me very happy. It kind of vibrates.
Yes.
As if someone is actually using. I imagine someone using like a physical keyboard. To type out, punch out the answer. So if they can combine all of this voice input, just a normal call, hey, can you do this or that? And then the output could be images and then very soon video, of course. What we're looking at then is, of course, that you can have your instant personalized Netflix entertainment.
Indeed. So if you have an Apple HomeKit or something like that, and you ask, or your child wants to see specific things,
and then it's,
create me a short video in the style of anime and stuff
not
like
even
that.
Not even that. You would walk into your room after a bad day. You walk into your living room and you say, "Hey, let's find a name." Yeah, hey Bing, I'm still a little bit in love. I committed. Hey Bing, make me happy. Make me happy. And then Bing, Bing starts over every time. So that's what they start over now. But I assume that it knows me. It knows my preferences. That's what Bart could have been. It knows my calendar, my planning of the day. I used Waze on my way home.
Yeah.
I use Google Calendar. It knows who I've been having meetings with. It knows what I've been mailing. So when I come home and I say, "Hey Bart, make me happy," it knows that I had a really shitty day. And I'd been in traffic jam and it's raining and I had 5 meetings. And then knowing me, it would know that it would have to create like this, awesome sunflower hedgehog to make me happy with that would be dancing to a little song.
The future.
The future is,
Clue.
yeah, that's what
That's
I mean.
amazing. It's like having Einstein and Nikola Tesla, but then on a global network
Yes,
to ask questions and to give you
and make you
stuff.
happy. Cheer you up, cheer you
Cheer you
up.
up.
Which is something. So call Annie. Remember, call
Yeah.
Annie. Call Annie can do that.
Yeah.
So I can talk to call Annie with my voice, and then say, "Hey, call Annie. Hey, Annie, I'm a little sad. Cheer me up." And then she'll tell a joke. So I know that AI can do that. We only have like, wow, 4 minutes left. I want to end with a very simple website. I always try to come up with really original best restaurants, I still get 15, a list of 15. And they all have good reviews because there's a lot of good restaurants in Mechelen where I live. But you have this combination of movie review ratings wrapped into one. So it will have IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and then wrap it into one score to help you decide on a movie. Well, Map of the Best does that for restaurants in your area. And I highly recommend it.
Let's see.
And I checked it for where I live. And what is the best restaurant where we
Yeah.
are now in the studio?
Vivendum.
Is it the best one?
Yeah, that's.
I agreed with the choice of four, and they were different. They were not like the expensive and the fancy ones. One of them was the most expensive and fancy one, but the other ones were actually, I could see that. So
And this is based on reviews or.
yeah, but on different reviews, not just Google reviews or Michelin stars, 4 or 5 different websites
Nice.
ofthebest.com. So that's my amazing thing of the week. If you're still listening, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week, and if you haven't already,
Don't forget to subscribe.
forget to subscribe to what we're doing, and we'll see you again.
Yeah.
Same time, same place, on your favorite platform. Maybe
YouTube.
even Twitter,
Even
Twitter,
Twitter.
Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, everywhere you want to, you can watch us, listen us. Thank you for being there with us.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.